Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. Today I want to talk a little bit more about Brother Lawrence. And as I've told you in other videos, Brother Lawrence is one of the foremost examples of a devotional path to awakening or to unity with God the Father, with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit. The opening of Christ consciousness within one's self. So I want to tell you something about when Brother Lawrence first began. And he had discovered his main teaching of trying to continually be in touch with the presence of God. Remember, his book, which is a collection of his conversations and letters, is called Practicing the Presence of God. So his goal was to continually feel God's presence in his life. And he had entered the monastery as a lay brother. And so he wasn't a monk, he was a lay brother in the monastery. But lay brothers have prayer time and devotional time and work time that is their days divided up, because it is I don't want to say rigid, but it is the days are planned out for the brothers. So you don't just get up and decide what you're going to do that day and when you're going to do it, but it is a ritualistic program. It's programmed for you. And so he would have prayer times and then the rest of his time. And so he was practicing the presence of God. And when he had prayer time, he said he would concentrate on death, heaven and hell, what his sins were, and what was wrong with him. And then when prayer time was over, he would go back to experiencing the presence of God and praising God and lifting his heart in openness to the Divine One, and practicing prayer, short sentences of prayer all day as he went about his work and his personal time. And he suffered for a long time doing this, and finally he decided that he would do the same thing during his prayer time as he did during the rest of his day. That during his prayer time, just like all the other time, he would practice the presence of God. Instead of thinking about himself and what his sins were and how he might end up in this hell that he believed in, he decided to concentrate on the attributes of the Holy One, on the beauty of Christ, on the mercy and love of God through his Spirit. And he found that his life was better. It was much lighter. A heavy burden had been lifted from him when he stopped dwelling on the negative and spent all of his waking time just with his emphasis on divinity. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't realize he had failings and sins, and he would confess them to God, but he would receive forgiveness and go on with just believing in the mercy and love of God. And that was his emphasis. His whole thinking pattern and his prayer pattern was adoration. It was in adoration of God. As much as he was able to think of God, he did. And he thought in terms of devotion and adoration and praise. And he said that after that, for the next 30 years, he experienced the presence of God and this peace of his soul. He felt that his spirit was at rest with God. So that's food for thought today. That's something that we might consider, especially for those people who spend so much time worrying about the grace and the mercy of God, to try what Brother Lawrence did and take our focus off of self onto the deity and see if it doesn't lift our spirits and bring us to this place of rest. So thanks for being with me again today, and I will put the name of that text and the author, etc., in the description box. And I invite you to leave your comments and your questions as always. And I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye for now.